Hi AOS, Chef Zena here. I miss seeing everyone. Today we are baking. I'm going to show you how to make the base scone recipe, and then you can add in a variety of mix-ins. Scones was a request from two of our students, Molly, Kate, and Mac. The term scone differs depending where you live. English scones are more similar to an American biscuit, and they're often topped with butter, clotted cream, and jam. American scones are sweeter and heavier, and they're usually not topped with butter because there's so much butter in the recipe. The base scone recipe will make your scones moist and soft inside, crumble on the edges, and buttery and flaky. Using the base, you can build your own scones and be super creative. You can put chocolate chips, berries, bananas, apples and cinnamon, pumpkin for a sweet flavor, or for a savory flavor, you can add herbs and cheeses. There are 7 base ingredients to the base scone recipe. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, spooned and leveled, a half a cup of white sugar, 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. Scones are leavened with baking powder. This is what lifts them. You'll need a half a teaspoon of salt. Salt adds the flavor. You need a half a cup of butter. Butter's responsible for the flakiness and the flavor. It crisps the edges and the rise. You'll need a half a cup of heavy cream. You can use buttermilk if you would prefer a tangy flavor. Thinner liquids such as a plain milk or a soy product change the flavor and appearance. The thinner liquid makes it dry, bland, and will flatten your scone. You'll need 1 egg. Your egg adds flavor, lift, and structure to the scone. Since I'm making a sweet scone, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, but if you're making a savory one, you don't want to add that. And mix-ins, I have cranberries and oranges, so I'm using the zest of 1 orange, and I'm using a cup of frozen cranberries, but you could use fresh or dried. For a crunch on the top, I'm using 1 tablespoon of sugar in the raw, and for my glaze, I'm going to use 1 cup of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of fresh orange juice. For today's tools, you will need 2 mixing bowls, a knife, a cutting board, a zester if you're using citrus, a wire whip, a pastry brush, a spoon, a rubber spatula, a baking sheet, a baking mat or parchment paper, or you can just spray the pan, and a box grater. The key to your scone recipe is all of your ingredients must be cold. I'm going to return these cranberries to the freezer while I make the dough. Our scone dough must be cold in order to prevent the spreading. You want to take frozen butter, and you want to take your box grater and place it on wax paper and take the frozen butter and grate it going back and forth. When all the butter is grated, lift up your box grater and remove all of your butter onto the wax paper. Place your wax paper on your dish and place your dish in the freezer while we continue with the dough. You want to wash your orange and using the paper towel dry it completely. Using your zester, you want to go back and forth over your orange, removing the zest. The zest of 1 orange. To your mixing bowl, add your flour, your white sugar, your baking powder, your salt, and your orange zest into the bowl. Whisk together your dry ingredients until well combined. Remove the butter from the freezer and add it to your bowl with your dry ingredients. Combine your butter into your flour mixture with a pastry cutter, 2 forks, or as you can see, I use my hands. You want to continue to crumble pea-sized clumps. We're going to take this and I'm going to place this into the refrigerator. So while I am mixing my liquid ingredients, this stays nice and cold. Next, we're going to mix our cold ingredients. So we want to take our egg, and then we want to add our cream and our vanilla. And we want to whisk this until it is completely mixed. Remove your flour butter mixture from the refrigerator and drizzle your wet ingredients on top. Add in your cold mix-in ingredients. Mix together until everything appears to be moistened. Pour onto a floured counter or cutting board. With floured hands, work the dough into a ball as best as you can. The dough will be sticky. If it's too sticky, add a little more flour. If it seems too dry, add 1 to 2 more tablespoons of heavy cream. My dough was perfect and did not require any additional ingredients. Press the dough into an 8-inch diameter disc. Using a sharp knife, cut into 8 wedges. For smaller pieces, you can cut into 16. Using the knife, lift your wedges and place them on the baking sheet. Move your scones so that they are 2 by 4 on your sheet pan. We want them to be super cold to reduce the amount of spreading, so place them in the refrigerator for 15 minutes. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. It's been 15 minutes, so we want to remove our scones from the refrigerator and we want to brush each scone with a little bit of cream. This step is optional. If you would like an extra crunch, sprinkle a little sugar on the raw on top of each scone. Place your scones into the oven and bake them for 22 to 25 minutes. Set your timers and I'll see you in 22 to 25 minutes. The scones are done when they are golden brown around the edges and lightly browned on top. We removed these from the oven and we are going to allow them to cool while we make our glaze. To make the glaze, whisk together your powdered sugar and your orange juice, starting with a little bit of orange juice. Add more powdered sugar if it's too thin, and if it's too thick, add a little more orange juice and mix until it is well combined. Pour your glaze into a small sandwich bag. Using scissors, cut a small hole on your bag. Using your bag of glaze, you want to just pipe and drizzle over top of your scones. This step is optional. So here is our cranberry orange scone.